starting to talk to this summer. It's not, it's $37 per month and 0% interest for 60 months. Visit the mattress gallery at your local Ashley store to explore our wide
This
selection of
is the AgeAlive seminar at Town and Gown, and today they are talking about ageism, I believe.
Oh, you know, that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, I'm gonna get you some more water.
If you wouldn't mind, thank you.
Okay, what would you suggest?
I'll meet her.
This, Abby brought this to show us. This is before the questions.
Oh, really? That long?
5 to 6:30, but, that's the whole standard. Whatever you got.
I didn't know I had that much time. I could fill up 45 minutes.
Well, then we'll leave time for more questions. We'll talk about our events.
We'll have to go back to the beginning of the.
That's the beginning of both of what?
Are we starting?
We're talking about the movie.
I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah,
It was a.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us today. We're glad to see everybody here. As a reminder, Town and Gown is sponsored by AgeAlive, a program in the College of Osteopathic Medicine dedicated to aging with vitality, in addition to the East Lansing Primetime Senior Center in the Social Science Scholars Program. Before we get started, I would like to let everyone know, if perhaps you're not signed up to our email list, today I sent everyone an evaluation survey so that people can let us know what they've thought of the Town and Gown program so far, and to just give us a little bit of information about yourselves so we can continue to improve our program. All of this information is, of course, anonymous, and it will only be used to improve Town and Gown. So you can find this this link. I sent it to you in an email later today if you're signed up in our email list. But if you're not, it will be on the Senior Ambassadors Program website. If you go to seniorambassadorsprogram.org, I believe, and you go to Town and Gown in the bar at the top, it'll be on the Town and Gown page. So without further ado, let me introduce our speakers today. All right, let me pull up their bios. Okay, so we are here with our very own Dr. Clare Lutz and Lori Strom today.
What do you want to do?
Doc-
Read
oh.
there?
Let's see if we can move people. There we go.
Microphone.
Great. Okay. So Dr. Clare Lutz is an associate professor of family and community medicine with MSU's College of Osteopathic Medicine. She is a Spartan alumni, the founding director of AgeAlive and IMPART Alliance, and a gerontologist whose research focuses on quality of life for vulnerable older adults, long-term care health services, particularly the elder care workforce shortage, and their intersection of aging, health, and the arts. She co-chairs both the statewide MDHHS DCW Advisory Committee and the statewide Michigan DCW Coalition. Dr. Lutz has served on the Michigan Long-Term Supports and Services Advisory Commission, the Michigan Society of Gerontology / Community Services, excuse me, I misread that wrong. The Michigan Society of Gerontology Board and the National Quality Forum's Home and Community-Based Care Committee. We're also here with Lori today. Lori has a BS in Gerontology and Community Services and Public Affairs from the University of Oregon and a master's degree in Public Administration from Western Michigan University. She retired from MSU's WorkLife office in 2018 from the role of Lifespan and Family Services Coordinator. Since her retirement, MSU AgeAlive has retained Lori as a consultant to support the mission and initiatives of AgeAlive. Lori serves on the AgeAlive Leadership Council and volunteers as a member of the City of East Lansing Age-Friendly Community Steering Committee. She enjoys her time outdoors, camping, boating, biking, hiking, gardening, cross-country skiing, and playing with her dog, Yogi, and her life partner, Bill. She's most proud of her two sons, Jeremy and David, who are both Spartans and graduated from the College of Engineering. So with that, I will turn it over to our lovely speakers.
Thank you, Stella. Hello. Good afternoon. I hear the bell will keep ringing, and I was watching the names and see the names of some friends on there, which is nice. So welcome. Can everyone hear me all right? Welcome to tonight's program, the final program of the semester. So after today, we are taking a summer break, is that right? And so this is, I guess, the grand finale. I hope I do it justice. Estella, thanks for that great introduction. As she said, my name is Clare Lutz, founding director of both MSU AgeAlive and MSU IMPART Alliance. And I am very pleased to be here to talk with you, give you a little bit of information about both organizations. I know many of you have been faithfully attending this series, the Town and Gown series, over 2-3 years almost now. And this tells us that you like them, which is great. And we thank you for your support. We are really proud and happy to be able to provide the community with such good programming, very thought-provoking programming, and to be doing it in partnership with the MSU Social Science Scholars Program, as well as the People's Church Great Decisions Program. So thank you for support of this program. And thanks to all of you who are attending for the first time and all of you who are on Zoom. I hope everybody can see and hear me all right. And Zach is here if we have any trouble. So I was going to introduce myself, but Stella did such a great job. I think I'll just skip that whole section. I do want to say that Lori has been such a tremendous support. Big shout out to Lori, helping with programs like this one. And there's absolutely no way that we could do all that we do without you. So she's going to pipe up if I miss anything. And I also need to give a big shout out to Stella Weinberg, our AgeAlive intern this year, who has really taken a super active role in bringing this series to you each week. But she's also done a lot of work behind the scenes, including developing the survey that she just mentioned and so many other things. And she's done a magnificent job. And yes, we are very sad to see you move on because she's graduating, but we are also very happy for you because you're moving on and graduating. And wish you well, wish you all the best. And don't be a stranger. So related to tonight's program, as Stella said, the majority of my research has focused on health services for older adults, particularly the direct care workforce, and on improving the quality of life for older adults. And I'm also interested in the intersection of aging, well-being, and the arts. So I've done quite a bit of work around quilts and health and other forms of art and health. All of my work has been through, over the last 30 years, has been through community engaged and community relevant projects. And both AgeAlive and IMPART Alliance, I think, are very good examples of building community engaged partnerships that are sustainable, that are mutually beneficial. And I am going to attempt to talk about both the programs over the next half hour. It's a tall order, but I will just touch on key points because I would like to save some time at the end for questions about any of the content, any of the programs. I'm happy to talk with anybody in great depth about any of this at any time. So I want to set the scene a little bit because both of these programs are really in response to one of the most consequential events, phenomena of our time, which is the rapid aging of the population. And I know that most of you know that the population is aging, but I'm not sure if you understand how fast it is aging, or the significant impact that that has on all of us, both individually and collectively. So let me get the hang of this. There's one quick slide to set the stage. And Zachary, I already need you. Can I just say slide, please? Okay. Okay, good. So this is just one quick slide, and the first picture on the left can show you change over time, how the population has changed over the years from being a pyramid with the bulk of the population in the younger categories, and it is now pretty much a column with more and more people in the older years, in part due to the boomers. It's just kind of moving up like that. The second picture illustrates the phenomenon. People age 65 are going to number those 17 and younger. And for the US, it's projected to occur. That's okay. Okay, that's fine. It's coming a decade sooner in 2025, which is 2 years away. So very quickly. There are 10,000 people turning 65 every day in the United States, and the number of older adults will more than double over the next several decades. And again, this has huge, huge consequences for all of us, individually and as a society. And for higher ed, for MSU, especially a land grant institution, we have a responsibility to respond to this major phenomena. So we've been trying to respond for at least 50 years. When we first started AgeAlive, we did a little history and research and learned that efforts to respond, we've known that the population was aging for a long time. We've seen this coming, right? So early on, we started trying to figure out how to respond to it, at least 50 years. Slide, please. This gives you a little bit of history. It's been a long journey. In the 70s, there was a movement to organize a university committee on aging, create a more cohesive aging portfolio. You can read the slide. It gives you some of the touch points along the way. There have been multiple efforts throughout the years, and some of them have stuck, but a comprehensive aging portfolio and plan has remained elusive until the last the last 8-10 years. And I think, there are a lot of people to thank for that, but I really believe that AgeAlive has had we've taken a strong lead in making that happen, and I feel really good about that. So this brief history, some of the things that have remained, we still have the Pearl Aldrich Endowment for Aging Related Research. We still have the Levandy Aging Tract in the School of Social Work. And Dr. Levandy he's on our board, our leadership council, and very involved in making sure that East Lansing was designated as an age-friendly city. And that's the board that Lori serves on. So it's my understanding that MSU is the only university in the Big Ten that doesn't have a center on aging or something equivalent to it. We're one of the few universities in the United States, major universities who are top tier research universities, that doesn't have one. So in 2014, AgeAlive grassroots organizing began when Barb Sawyer Koch, I don't know how many of you remember Barb or knew Barb Sawyer Koch. She was an MSU trustee for 16 years, very active in the community. And she and I sat at her kitchen table and talked about MSU not taking population on in a really robust, substantial way. She was particularly concerned about the lack of attention to caregivers, since at that time she had become a caregiver to her husband, Don Cook, who was a professor emeritus of philosophy and had dementia and has since died, and Barbara has since died, and I hope we're doing her proud now. But she was especially concerned about caregivers. So how many of you have been a caregiver or anticipate becoming one, or anticipate needing one, or it just, all hands up, right? It's going to have an effect on all of us. So she and I decided to change this situation. We invited a few people to join us, both from the campus and the community, to talk about what we could do, just to have a brainstorming session. We met at the pie company, Grand Traverse Pie Company, because one of the guys that was coming loves cherry pie. And this is our origin story. Slide, please, Zach. So we met once a month, 4 months at the Grand Traverse Pie Company, until the group got too big. It just kept growing and growing. And we moved to one of the MSU Federal Credit Union community rooms and started meeting there. It was a very iterative process. I don't know if some of you know Dr. Charles Glioso, Chuck Glioso. He's also professor emeritus. He was the head of MSU Study Abroad for 20 years. He's the person that took it from a little hole in the wall to this international gem that it is today. And Barb and I met with deans and chairs all across the campus. We fielded this idea. We came up with a strategic plan. We handed out, literature to everybody. And they all gave us feedback, and we would take their feedback and go back to the drawing board and polish things. But what we really needed was an institutional home. We couldn't conduct business out of the pie company forever. So in 2016-17, several really important things happened, including the fact that the College of Osteopathic Medicine stepped up and gave us a home and created a position, which I have, which partly is for developing AgeAlive, along with all of my other functions and projects. But we also we received a couple of important awards from the from the Faculty Emeritus Association. And in 2019, MSU was designated as an age-friendly university. So what is an AFU and why does that matter? Slide, please. This is really, truly an international mark of distinction. This slide will give you a little bit of history of the age-friendly universities. It involves multi-country partners. There are 10 principles of an age-friendly university, and it grew out of Age-Friendly Cities program launched by the World Health Organization in 2010. And it was centered on the unique role that higher education could play in responding to a rapidly aging population. So this is now a global network. I think this slide says 50 members. I think that they're up to about 80 maybe members internationally, and MSU is one of them, one of the few in the United States. So universities can apply and they can be accepted even if they don't meet all 10 principles, even if it's just aspiration, even if they don't meet any, but it's aspirational. But we applied. When we applied, we were already meeting all 10 principles, at least on paper. And we had to put together this crosswalk, slide please, between the principles and what MSU had to offer, and we attached it to our application. This is just an excerpt from the crosswalk. So on the left are the principles, 3 of them. And then on the right are some of the things that MSU does to meet those principles. So what we're trying to do now is to actually live the principles and not have them be just on paper. We want to truly be an age-friendly university, which absolutely requires collaborative community partnerships. The implications for doing this at MSU are significant. I think they are for the community as well. Slide, please. There. These are just some of the implications. It really increases the research collaborations and funding, the educational opportunities for our students and staff and retirees and alumni, but also everybody in the community. How many of you remember evening college? It's a great program, right? One of the most frequent questions we get ever since we started was, what happened to evening college and why can't you bring it back, right? I have a little good news about that in just a minute. So, but it also prepares students for an aging world. You know, we're not here just to train students in economics or packaging to have a career. We're here to help them be successful in life, right? Throughout life, to have well-being throughout life. And that is our model. And also, again, being a land grant institute, we're here to address major societal issues related to aging. We're also here to reduce ageism. I don't know if any of you have noticed that we are a slightly an ageist society. I say that kind of mockingly. We are a very ageist society. You may have felt that. And we believe that one way to reduce ageism is through education, public awareness, but also through fostering intergenerational relationships so that we can learn about each other and realize how more rich and vibrant our lives are with these intergenerational relationships, and to strengthen the campus community partnerships. And this is a great example right here with the Town and Gown series. And most of all, I try to preach this to bring joy and well-being to all people of all ages, of all abilities. So these are just a few of the implications. When Provost Woodruff, now interim president, first came to MSU, I sent her a letter explaining to her, this is what we're trying to do here. We just want you to be aware of us. And she is now well aware of us and has pointed out a number of times the impact of our efforts. So what do we stand for? What are the goals? What do we do? Zach, slide, please. This is just a brief snippet of our vision: respect, well-being, quality of life for all people of all ages, all abilities. The mission, some of our principles: the holistic definition of good health and well-being, intergenerational experiences, community engaged partnerships, enriching student and faculty success, enriching community quality of life. So we're creating an aging hub, an MSU Central Resource Center for all things related to aging, whether it's research, community service, community outreach, or teaching. We're trying to do it through recognizing and celebrating aging-related research on campus, organizing campus community programs that are life enriching, giving people an opportunity for meaningful activity, for being connected to community, and through the arts and humanities, all things that make life really worth living in our view. We hope that AgeAlive is the nucleus for what will someday be MSU's Center on Aging at the university level. So how do we live these values and principles? Zach, please. This is just a sampling, just a small sampling of all of the many things that we're trying to achieve. The annual research forum is important to elevate aging-related research and inspire people to engage in it. And our annual research forum is this Thursday, and this is a commercial for it. So it is Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and I invite you all to attend. If you didn't receive an invite, let us know and we will make sure you get one. It's not too late to register. And I love the theme this year. The theme this year is leading a purposeful life with dementia. And we are excited to have a really excellent lineup of speakers. The keynote speaker is Brenda Roberts. Some of you may know her. She is the executive director of the National Council of Dementia Minds, and they are the only organization that is run almost completely by people with Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. We are featuring two panels. One is a panel of 3 MSU researchers who are conducting aging-related research, and 2 of them, was it last week or the week before? 2 of them, Dr. Sun and Dr. Counts, gave the Town and Gown lecture last week.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, 2 weeks ago. Sorry, it's every other week. No. So the second panel is of 8 individuals who are living with the diagnosis of dementia and who are trying to live their best life. And there will be some film clips that have been made of them trying to do that. And then they will be available for a really engaging, I think, moving and meaningful conversation. They want to engage us in discussion. And so we will be able to have some really candid conversations with them about their diagnosis. The annual award ceremony recognizes 2 outstanding aging-related researchers, an individual or an organization that promotes intergenerational relationships. And then we also have the Legacy Award now. And last year's Legacy Award went to Dr. Glioso, who I mentioned earlier. And I do think it's important to have these award ceremonies because it makes people more aware of the value of the research, of a legacy, a lifetime of trying to contribute to people's well-being.
Scott and Faye were also our research award winners.
They were indeed.
Speakers who were here.
That's right. Was that this past year? They received the research award. So the College Student Caregiver Project is a research project that I received funding for from the Michigan Health Endowment Fund to study college students at MSU and also Eastern Michigan University. We did a big survey who are primary caregivers to somebody in their family or a close relationship while trying to complete college and get a degree, and how they juggle these 2 very big roles in their life. And we're analyzing the data right now and, learning some disturbing things. And I'm sure many of you know that caregiving has its challenges. It also has its great rewards. It can be a joy. I was a caregiver for my dad, and I will forever be grateful for that experience, but it can be challenging. And 70% of these students have said or reported in the survey that they have doubts about their ability to complete their degree because of their caregiving responsibilities, which is something, should be a wake-up call to MSU and all of us. The Senior Ambassador Program represents a partnership between AgeAlive, the Social Science Scholars Program, and the East Lansing Primetime Seniors Program. And I think most of you are aware of the Senior Ambassadors Program, I hope. But what it does is it matches MSU undergraduates with seniors in the community who are potentially isolated and at risk for loneliness and all of the negative side effects of loneliness. And of course, that was all exacerbated thanks to COVID-19, during which many of us, if not all of us, were isolated. So these pairs meet one-on-one weekly. Ideally, they meet weekly through Zoom, and it has been proven to be a positive experience for both people. And I know Stella has played a big part in that, and some of you are participating in that as well. You know about the Town and Gown Lecture Series. It grew out of the Senior Ambassador Program, and Dr. John Waller, you know him very well, and he is on the call here. This was his vision, and he has been crucial to its growth and success, and we are extremely dedicated, deeply indebted to John and all of you, Sandy and others, for making this a success. Town and Gown now supports an intern from the Social Science Scholars Program, which John directs, and this year was Stella. Lucky us. So back to evening college. I have a little good news. I'm excited to give you an update. One of the things that AgeAlive has taken on, and we've taken a very lead role on campus, and that is to organize around the hope for what we hope a major strategic planning process over the last few years. And as part of that process, they've identified 6 pillars that they are focusing in on, like student success, faculty success, some, health, community, all these different values. And they invited people to submit proposals on how those values could be operationalized at MSU. And a number of us joined forces across campus, not just AgeAlive, and we submitted a proposal to establish a lifelong learning institute at MSU. And our proposal has made it through to the next round. We're really quite excited about that. We had a big meeting last week where a number of people whose proposals made it through to the next round we're now in discussion on how we might be able to synthesize some of our work so that we can maximize everybody's ideas, bring them together and make something happen. And it would include, our vision is it would include something along the lines of evening college for sure. So meaningful educational, non-degree, non-credit classes for community members. But the vision is actually much, much bigger than that. So we can keep you posted on how that comes along, but we are one step closer. And I am very hopeful that we will eventually have something that addresses our community's deep need for this kind of programming. And believe me, I've talked about Town and Gown and said that this is really kind of a really nice example of what could happen through such an institute. I'm just going to tell you about one more initiative that we consider as one of our signature programs, which are the paper, flower, and butterfly gardens. We now have an artist in residence, Sarah Resch, and she designs these gardens. And slide, please. How many of you have seen one of these gardens? One person. I encourage all of you, that our biggest one ever, we have had, I don't know, 6 or 7 over the last few years. Our first one was at Zara's gallery. She has her own gallery in town. And then the next one was at the Hannah Center. Our biggest and current one is at the MSU International Center. And this garden fills up. If you've ever been in there, that whole first floor is the garden. And just a little facts about it. She makes all of the flowers by hand. Every flower is handmade by Zara. They are made out of coffee filters that she hand dyes herself. The butterflies, however, are made by community members. And this is the point. This is why we feel these gardens are the epitome of what AgeAlive is trying to do. And that is to create intergenerational community experiences where people participate in actually creating the garden and are part of something bigger than themselves and beautiful. And so we have a number of, before each garden is installed, there are a number of painting sessions and folding sessions, and with community members coming together. And we have had so many of these sessions, people from nursing homes, people from the 4-H Children's Garden, people, middle schools, high schools, lots of different units on campus. We had a group of MSU police officers did a special folding session, and we had these like big police officers all just sitting there folding little tiny butterflies. And it brings joy to people. They put their phones down, they talk to each other. I think the biggest session we had was in the Union.
130 students.
130 students came. They all just put down their phones and talked to each other and laughed and made butterflies. And this sense of community that was generated was amazing. And that is what it's all about. So the garden at the International Center has over 3,000 butterflies in it right now. You may have seen some of the press on it. I invite you to go see it. It's stunning. It was originally conceived of by a colleague named Mariko, who's from Asian Studies, as a way to reflect on 3 years of COVID-19 and its impact on all of us, as well as to raise awareness of bigotry and violence against persons of Asian descent. The butterflies are the epitome, in my view, of promoting unity through diversity, because every butterfly is different. Everyone is beautiful. Bring them all together and you have this unified, amazing, gorgeous garden to celebrate. But then, we all are too aware of the tragic events on February 13, when violence erupted on our campus. And we pivoted to making green and white butterflies in memory of the students who were killed and the other students who were harmed, and all of us who have been hurt in our community and are in need of healing. And so in the center of the International Center garden is a couple of trees just filled with green and white butterflies in their memory. The garden is a healing place. We also have a butterfly garden now at the MSU Horticulture Department Children's Garden. And this Thursday, after our forum, there will be a special reception for anybody that has participated in any way in making even a single butterfly or supporting it in some way, because we now believe everybody is part of the butterfly garden family. So we are going to have our very first family reunion. And it will be a picnic. We'll have a silent auction. It's got games for children, a lot of fun. So that's one of our signature programs. I could go on and on about AgeAlive. It's been a great joy to everyone involved. We've learned a great deal over the last 8 years on building community engaged partnerships. We've learned a lot from you here at this church and on how to sustain these relationships. And I'm happy to talk again more about any of this at any time with anybody. I think it's clear I could probably fill hours talking about this. But I do want to pivot just for a few minutes and talk about IMPART Alliance. I don't want to bombard everybody with way too much information, but let me give you just a few highlights about IMPART Alliance. It's a bit more sobering than AgeAlive. Zachary, please. So as I said, most of my research over the last 20-25 years has been related to the direct care workforce. IMPART Alliance started in 2016 with a grant from the Michigan Health Endowment Fund, but it grew out of years and years of developing direct care worker training programs, in a lot of them with federal and state external funding and in partnership with state government and with community organizations across the state, and a lot of advocacy on behalf of direct care workers. Our sole mission really is to help Michigan build an infrastructure that will